Hello, it's Amanda from Crafting with Amanda, and this page of sketches that you see, I found on Pinterest, and there's like a series of them, and they have, I want to say, close to 200 different card sketches. So I couldn't find the original poster. Like, there was no indication of who it was. It was just several people had them on their pages, so I copied them. But that's what we're going to do today. So here's my pile of sketches, jumping ahead here, and I'll go back and remind you about subscribing and commenting and how that helps the videos. So I made these poinsettias for my Christmas card, and I accidentally cut out one sheet of the base flower out of the gold foil paper, so that's where some of the leaves come from. And then I was showing you that I had used my Chelsea Gardens card making stamp set and made like 60 of the small, they're like pansy flowers, they're just a general flower but actually coordinate really well with the Serenity paper. I sped the video up as far as my assembly process, and I don't plan to walk you through of, oh, now I'm doing this, next I'm doing this, and here I'm doing, but I'll just kind of talk you through some of my thoughts at the time that I was creating these cards. And I created them over several days leading up to Christmas. We still have home improvement projects going on, and I'm normally a stickler for no home improvement, starting after November 18th. And I don't know why November 18th was the day, but the year that we made that, the proclamation, I'm guessing that might have been the week before Thanksgiving or something. So for, all of our married life, that's kind of been the joke, or for at least the last 20 years, of no home improvement after. But instead, we worked at it a little bit, but we did make Advent first, family first, and, emotionally during 2020, I think family first is a really good thing to do, and to give ourselves some grace as far as sometimes getting up, getting dressed, showering, that's accomplishing a lot in these kind of uncertain times, and more stress is on us than I think we realize. So the first card, also on this video, I learned how to overlay a photo image and place it where I wanted it on the screen. So in the upper left corner, you'll see the sketch inspiration, and I don't go exactly from the sketch. I kind of use it as a jumping off point, and then make my own artistic decisions as I go. So the scallop, the double scallop border, is a punch that I have, and I'm pretty sure later on in this video, when I'm creating another card, you'll actually get to see that. But I haven't used my border punches in a while, and I gave a whole bunch of punches away, and I kept some, and I decided if I'm going to keep these, I'm going to use them, and if I'm not going to use them, then I'm going to give those away too and just not take up the space. But so far I'm really excited about how these punches are going to work. So I just, again, going through my scraps, I mounted squares of the pattern paper from the Serenity kit, and now I'm just eyeballing them kind of where they line up and give like a window frame thing. Sorry if you hear some noises in the background. Our washing machine is running. Our oldest probably has to go to work today and needed to wash his uniform, or worked yesterday and is washing his uniform for tomorrow. Either way, the washing machine just finished, and I actually have a notice on my phone of Soapy just completed a cycle. And yes, we named our washer and dryer Soapy and Fluffy, so there's that. We didn't get a new dishwasher yet. We're using the one that came with the house, so we don't have a name for him. Maybe we'll call him Larry. I don't know. So these are sentiments that I had done a bunch of from my last freeform scrap video, card making, and I'm just trying to decide, oh, do I want this as an angle? How do I want this? And then I decide I'm going to pop dot it up and just keep it all not kitty wampus, just all straight lines, which is a more soothing for our eyes. Sometimes you want kitty wampus, if to make a feature to kind of really bring focus onto something, but here I just needed some calming effect because, you know, the paper is called Serenity after all. I will have these sketches papers. Like I said, I think there's almost 200 card sketches, like 20 to a page, and I will make a blog post with all of the sketches on them so that you can go and grab them, or like I said, go to Pinterest and you'll find them there just under card sketches. And there's some other ones. There's some from play paper sketches or something like that that are also good, but I haven't done cards from sketches without measurements in a while, and I really kind of enjoyed it. It's kind of the free form meets sketch. So here I'm deciding how big I want the squares for this next card. I do 2 cards from each sketch, and some of them are identical and some of them are not. And here I made smaller squares of the pattern paper, and then I'm going to edge them with the gold. And as you saw, this is scrap gold pieces from the Cricut cuts when I did my poinsettia flowers. So that's what this all is. And I need to use multiple pieces to get 4 of the right size mats. And I think I end up double matting this with the sapphire as well, and kind of to give it the same weight, this, you know, as far as it takes up the same space as the last card did. So we'll see what happens here. Oh, so going back to on videos for YouTube, for really any YouTuber, when you like their video and comment on it, it somehow lets YouTube know that this is content that people should be aware of. It like helps boost the video's presence in other people's feeds that aren't subscribers. You know how it'll say, you know, videos recommended for you. So if you like what you see, or like what you see on any YouTube video, not just mine, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make a comment if you really like it to help other people see these videos. And it's just a, like I said, it's a boost for some of, you know, a small time or just getting started. I've been doing this since June. I did take most of October and November off because of home improvement stuff and finally moving our stuff in out of the garage, but also trying to do the family room. And you know, so my plan of a video a week didn't happen, but we're kind of getting back in that groove again and have some good ideas. I'm also realizing that for close to my heart, I don't think I'm in a point right now that I'm going to be able to show all the new papers and, you know, wow, exciting things that people are going to be like, oh, I just have to go get that. So I'm going to do what's working for me right now in my life, which is using up my scraps, and I'm sending out lots of cards. Again, just trying to send some joy out and connect with people in a way that I can do that. So that's what's going on now. I love the scallop border though. I really do. So, and then I had punched a circle and obviously cut it in half to work as a background for my little flower vignettes. And oh, from my last video, the freeform video, I took one evening after I had probably assembled like 10 of the flowers as I made each card. I went ahead and took a couple evenings and assembled all the rest of them, the 50 flowers or whatever, with the branches that were left over from my Christmas card poinsettias, and added the thread, the gold thread to it. And so I have these kind of ready to go flower clusters, which I really like. So there's the 2 cards. Those are nice. And card number 2 is kind of funny. When I was editing the video, I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't card number 2, and I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, then I realized I had to get out the actual card. I use the flower background where the white part is on the card sketch, so I kind of filled in the whole base of the card. And I was really excited. I got out some tools that I haven't used in a while. My box with my embossing folders and most of my dies was still buried back in the far corner of the garage until November, and then I finally got it out, but I never really unpacked it. So after I got Christmas wrapping paper out of this room, I opened up the box and I stole my my binders that have my die, well, actually just the embossing folders. I didn't grab my dies out. So I do have some dies. I'm more of a Cricut person and punches than I am dies. Not sure why. I think the effect is beautiful. I don't know, it almost feels like a hassle to use a die cutting machine to cut out shapes, and you only get one at a time, where with, you know, a few minutes of setup on the Cricut, I can have a whole bowl of flowers like I did before. And I think some of that's just I'm pretty computer savvy and graphic savvy, so you have to do what works for you and what you like. I do think that dies give a sharper finish for the actual cut, but I tend to do more than just one, or need more than one image. So that's just me. So here I'm gonna set up my MISTI and do some multiple stamping of some sentiments thinking of you. I really like this font. I don't remember what stamp set it's from. Maybe I can pull it out here. Oh yes, this was a stamp of the month in 2019, January of 2019, and it's card captions. So it's S1901. A lot of times you can find, especially stamps of the month, for sale, but it's a really great stamp set, and then it just has all sorts of one-line sentiments, and you can cut those apart any way you want, but you know, of course, best wishes, congratulations, thinking of you, happy birthday, happy anniversary, love you, just a note, just because, and all in different fonts. So like thinking of you, happy anniversary, love you are all in the same script font, and then like happy birthday, thanks, some of the others are all in the same kind of font, and then we have some more just stick letters. So it's a good stamp set. So now you can kind of see where I'm going with these based on the template. I was trying to show variety, that you don't just have to use a sketch exactly how the sketch is. So adding the pattern paper in the background of the one in the upper right corner, it's still oriented the same way, the sentiments in the same place, you know, all of that's the same. But then the card on the left that I'm putting the sequence on, I went ahead and changed the orientation, and I really like that. I think that's something important for everybody to think about. I love a jewel picker, I do have to say. It's a good thing. So look quick, because we're going to switch over here soon. And those are those cards. And now we're on to our cards 5 and 6, or our third set. And this Serenity paper, I could have just stuck with the blue tones, almost did a monochrome theme for some more masculine cards, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I love this paper. This has got to be one of my all-time favorite, close to my heart paper packs. So, and I'm working hard not to overbuy, because they'll come out with another paper again that I'll like as well. So this is fun. Oh, here's the punch, that border punch. Oh, maybe I used it on the other card too, and I was talking and missed it. Oh, I think I did. So I just really like it on the... It's delicate, but not so dainty that it gets lost. So we'll just see what happens here. And I really do try to not put in the landfills too many scraps. You know, it's kind of having that balance between using up what we have versus cutting into new paper, which is always fun. And sometimes just the muse isn't with you, and so you're like, okay, I'm done with this, or you just want to be done with a paper pack. I don't know if you've ever challenged yourself to get rid of every single, like, to eliminate a paper pack, that, all right, I'm gonna use this until it's all gone. And by the time you get done with your 10 scrapbook layouts and your 24 cards, if you've been able to do that, depending upon what your layouts are and how much cardstock you add, that, you know, you're down to these last pieces that you're kind of putting on paper as for embedded embossing. And I will do some cards here in the future as we get down to the smaller scraps. I'm actually looking forward to that. And I love embossing folders. So as much as I don't die cut, I do love dry embossing. So I think that's the quatrefoil embossing folder. And I just cut off the top of it. And it was more of, we needed something to break up the flat white. It needed texture or something up there. So that's what I was doing. And I'm a little surprised that I didn't ink the edges, but I think because it's going from side to side and it's not like framed within the base of the card, I didn't feel that I needed to ink the edges. It can give it a finished look, but it can also make it look more distressed, and I do tend to go for clean lines versus distressed and ripping. Ripping is great. I have to remind myself to do those kind of things. I'm getting better at it, you know. Going on 15 years with Close to My Heart, I'm getting better at the grunge look. But I do like just clean lines. So this doesn't quite exactly the same as the sketch, but like I said, I used it as an inspiration and then went with what worked for me, for what I saw for the card. And you can do what works for you. You could put, you know, a bigger vignette or multiple flowers down in the blue area and move the sentiment down to the bottom like it has. Or you can do something like I did. So it's what works for you. And it's funny, I remember when I was creating these cards thinking, oh, should I do this on the other side and make it like a mirror image, or should I just do them the same? And I really liked how the first one turned out, so I remember thinking to myself, all right, just do it the same. And you'll notice there was a glue dot that I used as the base of my flower cluster, but sometimes there's not enough of the glue dot exposed to hold it, especially if you're adhering it to an uneven surface like the embossing would be. So I went ahead and added liquid glue on top of the glue dot and using my reverse tweezers to kind of hold that in place. And I don't think it needed the sequins, but I decided that I wanted something more, so I pulled out the sequins and grabbed some white, and that's what I'm going to do, is add. And then I just move the sequins, add the glue dot, and then slide the sequins over to where I put the glue. And that's what works for me, because that way I've kind of dry fit of where approximately they go, and I don't have to think about it 3 times. This is the, okay, I took a step back and looked artistically at where things should go, and that tends to lead me down a better road. So we're about done with this card, and we'll jump to card number 4, and you'll get to see where we go from that. So this one, it was funny, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm not seeing that, but I had the leftovers from the dry embossing bases. So I was like, all right, we'll figure something out here. And I trimmed down the thinking of you so that it truly was just barely on the white. There's just a sliver of white on the top and bottom. And I just think scale wise it works out better. But I love this font on this sentiment. I really do. It just works for me. So my cutter, I replaced the blade recently, and yet it was still not cutting clean. And I think some of that is the white cardstock. I have different brands. There's the Nina White, and then I found some Georgia Pacific, and I think that has more I don't know, fiber to it. I can't think of the right word, pulp, and so it doesn't cut as clean without a really sharp blade. But all of the pattern papers were cutting just fine, so I'm not interested in replacing my blade right now. So now I'm cutting this down, kind of put it more in scale for the sketch, and I think these end up being the same, similar. So I use the scalloped on the side here just to add some interest. I really like the look of like doilies and that kind of thing, and I think that this scalloped edge gives me that effect, so I'm liking that. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. So let's see. So home improvement wise, we finished the ceiling in our family room has beams, and there's 7 bays between the beams, and I'm painting inside the beams a different color than the beams themselves. And when we purchased the house, there was like the beams were deeper, or the ceiling bays were deeper between the beams, but we added insulation and drywalled, so that it helps with noise reduction, but also being in Southern California, having the underside of the roof basically exposed to your living room really made for a hot room. So once we covered that in, it really helped to cool that room down, even though there's old windows out there. I think we're going to replace the windows, but in the meantime, just sealing in those, insulating the bays help. But anyhow, long and short of it is, it's 16.5 feet by about just over 2 feet each bay is, and I have to cut in all the way around because I'm doing blue in between the beams, and then the beams are Carrara white. So there's a lot of cut in, and it takes a couple coats, and we had painted them all once a blue color, but the blue color that we picked, although it was lovely, was not the right shade of blue once the kitchen was done with the cabinets and the backsplash in there. So I went to a different color blue. So I got those all finished, and the ceiling is done. I have touch-up work to do, but the ceiling is done. So I was really looking forward to coming in and making some more cards, kind of as my I don't want to say reward, but as my rejuvenating recovery time from painting over my head. My neck is stiff, my arms are sore. I did the cut in for the wall painting this morning, and I could feel it, so I'm going to sit for a couple hours. That's why I'm doing the voiceover now, and I might do some more recording of card making a little bit later, and then I'm probably going to push myself to go do an hour of window trim painting, because now the trim on the windows looks really dingy. It needs to be done, but we're making progress. So, and I cut out the centers of this gold paper. It's the saver in me. I really like the gold, and things like that are great, and I have plenty of gold paper, and I should just leave it there. But when there's so many years that you do without, on the farm, when we had the years that we would only get 50% of an average, or 2017 was only 10% of an average yield, you really learn to kind of stretch things, and that's still in there, so we're working on it. I'm probably looking at it thinking, oh, do I want those sideways? Because the flowers on the backgrounds kind of lend themselves to sideways. And looking at the sketch, I was trying to hold it down at the bottom, but I think that just didn't work for me. So now I'm trying to find other ways to honor the sketch, and I'm using the little sequins like it uses. It has 3 on the top right and 3 on the bottom left, and I just did 3 on the top right and 2 on the bottom left. But I think sketches are there to inspire us, not to limit us. So you have to find what works for you. And it's funny, these sequins have so many different shades that you kind of have to look through them to find what you want. I think these came from, they were left over from the card subscription kit that I got in September. I'm actually looking forward to the new card kit, should be coming in January, so that'll be something fun to do. And trying to decide between a sapphire base flower, the bluebell base. Obviously I picked the bluebell base, and now I'm just gonna assemble all these together. I really like the Serenity, the Serenity papers with the gold and the white, and just keep it clean. I could also see this card with an embossed background. I think that could be cool. Or if you have the stitched rectangular die, that could be kind of neat in the background too. But I don't have those because, like I said, I'm not a big die person, so I think the gold works really well for me. But I could see adding that extra layer of interest, kind of a texture element that might be missing. And I don't know if you've heard me say, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, for sequins I like the white aqua glue because it dries with still a tacky feel. And so I think especially with sequins, it holds them on better after it's dried than the clear aqua, the blue lidded, because that dries hard and clear. They both dry clear but hard, and so I think like if you have a sudden jolt, your sequins will pop off easier, where the other, with it still being a little tacky, it has more flexibility so the jolts don't dislodge paper. All right, so card number 6. I really was looking forward to this. I remember, I think when I started card number 4, I was thinking of skipping it and going right to card 6. And I was like, no, just do them in order. You have plenty of scraps here. So I was really excited about getting to card number 6. And I really like how this turned out. Again, I could see it with a panel of embossed white underneath of it. You could actually do a blue panel behind everything if you wanted. The white is so crisp and clean, and I like that line. I'm drawn to that, but this card sketch to me has so many possibilities, because they have, I think, 5 pieces along the side, and I think I end up with 7, just because I cut them. It looks like 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm just doing a dry fitting. I strongly recommend that. So the speckled blue that's under my middle finger there is the back side of the pattern paper. So just to give you an idea. And then the other light blue is the bluebell cardstock that, and the far right on this card I use the dark side that's actual bluebell color, and then in the middle next to the gold is the light side of that cardstock. That's kind of a shade lighter than the true color. So now I just need to cut one more piece to fill in that final. There we go. And I'm grabbing the elements to kind of visually see what works. Again, I'm trying to create cards quickly, but also take a moment to step back, because I was finding in my other videos as I was editing them and watching them to do the voiceover that, oh, you need to step back a minute, because you're kind of, I'm rushing through it and I'm not allowing myself some freedom to just look. So I use that strip of bluebell to kind of adhere all of the individual pieces to. Just makes them easier to work with, and one more secure feature. So just laying these one on top of the other just makes, again, it easier to work with all the small pieces. I did tell you in the beginning, or if I didn't, I apologize. This is going to be a longer video today, but I did 7 sketches and I didn't think it made sense to break them into, 7 different videos, or even, 3 different videos. So I'm just kind of going in batches and getting them out there. And if you have extra time one day, you can watch the long video, and otherwise you might have to break it up into smaller sections, or you can always fast forward through it, or just look at the kind of the final results of each thing. I know there's some YouTubers that I watch, and depending upon my state of mind, I enjoy listening to their stories on what's going on and their tips and tricks, and then there's other times that I'm like, come on, I just want to see the results, and I jump through them. So I think we all have those moments in our world. So I did use the rubbing alcohol with the re-inker, and it's the Bluebell re-inker, and the card on the right has more mist than the card on the left, and in person the card on the left it shows up more. My lighting is kind of washing out some of the spritz, but that goes to that grunge non-clean look, and it's just another option that it's kind of fun. It's like one more tool in my bag of tricks. So, and you could also easily do the shimmer splatter or a paint splatter. All of those things would work well on this card. So I love my reverse tweezers to hold glue, images in place while it's drying. So this is the last card for this video today, and this is probably my most loose interpretation of a sketch. This sketch was not speaking to me. I didn't like the balance between where the image panel was and the little circle on the top of the stripe. So I kind of just used it as a jumping off point and then went my own direction. So just to give you that idea. I do think that the strip of pattern paper, I don't remember if I cut it down or if it was something that was just in the scraps, but it's funny, I'm trying to decide if I want to continue with my sketch card creations, or if I want to do some more freeform, or if I want to do some technique things. I just, with doing all the home improvement stuff, and then having some downtime to let this old body recover, I've been watching YouTube videos, kind of doing research stuff, and editing this video together. I have so many things that I want to try. I found a gal that does scrapbooking, and she does scrap from scraps, and she does a huge series on it, and it's amazing to me. She has these little pieces of scrap paper, and she ends up just coordinating them all together and making punching squares, and then cutting them in half with scissors, and then gluing them together, and then gluing them all on a base page, and you're just like, oh my gosh, how did she come up with that? And she has several of them, and I've only watched a few. I don't know if it's Crafty Vicky, but I think if you search for scrap from scraps, and she has a red tin scrap container. So that's the gal that I just found, if you're interested. So on this other card, you'll notice that I didn't have another strip of the flower pattern paper, so I went ahead and just used 2 pieces of the cardstock and a piece of the gold. Punched some more of the scalloped border, and kind of just using it to accent the sentiments. I really enjoyed creating. So, and that's the other thing I'm thinking of is, so am I doing so well with these cards, or am I loving these cards so much because I love the colors and the papers, or is this something that I could do with most other color combinations? So I might be doing that too, just to kind of challenge myself with a different color combination of pattern papers. I have Close to My Heart had 6x6 samples that you could buy, so you could have a piece of all the papers in new books without having to buy every single paper pack, which I loved, because I could have the papers for all of them for people to see without having to have spent, $60 the first month to get them all. So I have I probably have a foot, maybe even 14-15 inch stack of just 6x6 papers, and that's the gamut of before they had 2-sided papers. They had like just a tone on the back side. They're real thin, then they went to the thicker papers, then they went to a pattern on the other side that was kind of just a monotone of the pattern on the first side, and then they actually went to 2 different sides. So I have like all of those, 15 years worth of pattern paper from Close to My Heart. So I might abandon my Serenity scraps for the next creating, just to see, because I feel like I'm in a good place with my mojo. So we can see if it's the paper that's inspiring me, or if it's truly a good mojo place. And maybe you don't understand that, but that's what works for me. And then on this butterfly, I'm going to show, I'm using some of the foam pop dot to put just on the outside wings, and then I'll actually kind of bend the center, the body of the butterfly, and I'll put glue in the center, just a liquid glue, so that the center of the butterfly is attached firmly to the base of the card, and then the wings are kind of propped up with the foam tape. And you can take the paper off the foam tape so it's actually attached, or it really just keeps it propped up. So I love butterflies. Can't believe this is the first card that I'm using a butterfly on. So did more splatters on this. The Thinking of You, where I'm just using the 1 scallop showing, not the 2. Just kind of some variety, and have fun in your world. And using up scraps. I have not, other than the 1 piece that I added back in the last video of the pattern paper, all of this is scraps. Have a great day. You can follow me here, and hopefully you have a very happy new year. Thanks, everyone.